And if it's stages, it would put temporary stages up, and so we wouldn't have the empty stage sitting there when no one's using it. Did I say it all? Okay,
that's great. Thank you. And don't forget to turn in your notes. Okay, table 6. I have never seen such volunteering. Oh my God.
We agree with a lot of what Table 7 said, especially about all the green spaces. I think an important part we discussed as well the stadium is nearby, and it will definitely be used by the stadium. We also want it to feel separate and not just feel like a sports facility, but a public park and a neighborhood downtown park. That was really important to us. Definitely for a season, making something that you can do it all year round, again, very multi-use. Feel like it can be a respite, just welcoming place for those in the neighborhood. Lots of trees, sculptures. Also thinking about music, the way we described it was anything you can do on a blanket. So not feel like you have to We're very active at Table 6. Thinking about, not having necessarily permanent seating, but just places that people can come up and they can sit down casually, and whether it's an art exhibit or whether it's a musical concert or ice skating or whatever that is that you just want to come and casually hang out. Thinking about how do we tie in some of the history of Minneapolis, whether it's bringing in a stone from the river or whether it's making use of, as you're excavating, maybe you're finding some old part of the building, and how do you make that part of that space as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Table 11 has a big hand up over here.
And at Table 11, we're rule followers, so we called it down to our 2 big themes. One is we want to see the streets really be integral to the park. We feel like the streets, we don't want them to be a divider. They really should connect the spaces and blend into the park, so the street should be designed just as much as the park, curbless, aesthetically pleasing for the space, and not just roads that cars just breeze through, really work on traffic calming for those streets. We feel like programming will be really critical for the success of the space, so the design needs to be flexible for various types of activities and program, large and small. Those are our 2 big ideas.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, table 4. Oh, sorry, table 10. Then table 4.
We agree with many things that have been said, but programmable is really a big issue with us, that it can be changed, that it is flexible, and has kind of a northern quality, not to forget our northern roots. And then, of course, I should put my glasses on now. Relaxing, entertainment, and to slow the traffic around.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. 4 and then 5.
I'm going to stop by 8.
She tripped you, that's not fair. It's such a blizzard of ideas, it's hard to wrap them up in 1 minute. We liked a lot of the themes of mixed design, much as the contrasting words you've used a lot. 2 we settled on were both intimate and active. And maybe it becomes the 2 ends of the park, where 1 we'd like to be very natural, sustainable, talking about native plants, could have an educational aspect to that also, and then the more active area toward the stadium. Like others said, we don't want this to be purely an adjunct to the Viking Stadium, not a tailgating park. But maybe with the mixture of that, the 2 ends of the park can be slightly different. A bunch of the people at this group have been involved in dealing with the stadium about its very huge amount of highly reflective glass. We'd like any building within the park to be bird friendly. And because the stadium will have this glass, the side toward the stadium really cannot have any trees to attract birds that would be induced to collisions with the glass, because that can be done in the park area further away.
Interesting points. It was 4, then 5. 4, 5.
See. Okay. Basically, we agree with a lot of the points that everyone said. I'll try not to cover them too much. A big part here is that it's an appeal to all citizens of all social economic statuses, so it doesn't feel like just the rich person's park or, ooh, that's where the poor people go. So that was important that we have a balance of that. It was that the park become a destination, that people are going to that park, and that people understand that that's where they want to go to. Lighting, that it should be a crime and safety issue, you know, that we have meeting both the needs without like making it a glaring park, but that people feel safe there. So the actual perception of safety, nicer transitions, all ages should feel welcome, from small children to the elderly, and that's accessible. We have also agreed and talked about a transition, whether it be a good path between the two parks and also or a bridge. And a water feature, since we are the city of the lakes, and the land of the lakes, you can't have a park without some type of water feature. Okay, now I'll sing. Oh.
Now, I have to give you a full disclosure about Table 5. Table 5 includes my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law. So my husband's from Minneapolis, St. Paul. So I have actually spent a fair amount of time here.
At Table 5, we broke it down to 3 things: the character, the use, and the uniqueness of the park. In terms of the character, it has to be green, urban, and reflect Minnesota's natural beauty, meaning the vegetation, the grass, lots of trees, make it very open and accessible to everyone. Second, the use, it has to be multi-use, specifically with Portland and Park Avenue. Those roads are going to be open, and except for events when they would be closed, but like the pictures that we saw about how the roads could blend in with the park. And multi-use with everything. If there's going to be an area where there could be a bandstand, the area in front of that bandstand could also be a fountain, which could also be another place to have lunch or walk around, just enjoy yourself. And the uniqueness is to be able to use the park at night. Dinner in the park. It could be something like in New York, like a Tavern on the Green type of situation, where you could literally have dinner inside the park, have very good lighting for their safety, and make it seem that you could use the park all the time.
Great, thank you. Table 12 down here would be after, okay, so 3 then 12. Oh, and then 9.
We actually agree. I think we were in agreement that it would be very nice to have a restaurant, cafe, running along Portland Avenue on the large parcel. This would have the double effect of screening off the road. It would give access and services to the restaurant. And somebody suggested if we made it 2 stories tall with a deck on the top, then you could have very easily transition to a pedestrian bridge going over into the other block. And the last thing about the restaurant is that it has to be kind of a living, breathing thing, in the sense that in the winter it's closed, and then as the seasons warm up, it begins to open up and maybe have canopies, and so it breathes with the weather, and so it expands out into the plaza.
Great. And Jennifer is sitting at your table, I noticed. I know, but what a perfect table for you to be at. Okay, 12, and then 9, and then 1, and then 2, and then I think that's it.
We agreed with many of the ideas about green space and open areas. We did have one specific idea over here. We all turn up to be climbers, rock climbers, and we think that this park should offer an outdoor climbing structure. It is may seem odd, but it exists in many other parks, public parks, free structures across the country. This is because it's a very inclusive sport. It's a lifelong sport. It's a lifestyle sport, and it's an unmet need in our community. There are no outdoor climbing structures. Rock climbing brings together people of different socioeconomic backgrounds. There are unmet programming needs out there that this could benefit. It would be an iconic park if it featured some kind of climbing structure that was open to the public. There are many kinds of sizes and variety varieties of these things, so whatever you're envisioning, it could look like that, or it could look totally the opposite. I have many examples to show you of what this could look like, but the idea is it would take up more vertical space than maybe width or big footprint on the ground. And I also think that the climbing structure could be a really important part of the interim opening, and it could be done during the first phase. The rock climbing community is proven to be able to fundraise and come together. Are there any rock climbers here tonight? That was a cheat, We're able to pull together in support of the things that we love to do, and when we heard about this meeting, we all came together. We all filled out the survey. We think this is a very unique opportunity to build something that's never been done around here, and that's what we would like to see. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay,
Okay, here at Table 9, we, I don't know that we were exactly as organized as some of the other tables, but we did talk about this. First of all, for this climbing wall idea, we had a different idea. We think with the stadium, with the big glass walls, we'll start a new sport. You'll get these section cuts and stuff. Everyone will look up to us because we figured it out. I have a lot of fun with that. Anyway. Our theme, I think, was connectivity, and so many of the other tables talked about the idea of somehow connecting the different segments of the park with a bridge. As we start off with a question about, is this idea of bridges over the streets, is it feasible or not? Because we've heard some news about that, so we'll want to know. Another theme, we also wanted to talk about safety, because this is going to be an urban park, and in this area, there's going to be 3 new residential developments, and we're seeing the demographics of downtown change with more families with young children. People are out walking dogs. If you're around here, you see that. But people are going to need to cross these streets, and they'll want to do it safely. Overall, we want the park to be attractive and welcoming for casual daily use. One point we want to have this park unique in the sense that it does not duplicate something that's readily available somewhere nearby. Like, for instance, one idea was, I may have proposed it, the idea of a playground or a ball field or something, but if that's available at other parks within downtowns, even if you're a young family living there and your kids are playing t-ball or youth soccer, that would probably not even fit in this park, but could be available elsewhere. So, yeah, that's a summary.
Thank you. Last but not least, 1 and 2. And maybe that's it? I think that's 1, yeah. 1 and 2.
Hello, thank you. The biggest idea that Table 1 came up was that the landscape itself should be a rolling landscape, and it should naturally divide the park up into larger and smaller pockets, which would help divide the park into different use areas. The larger pockets could be used for things like farmers markets and concerts, and the smaller pockets could be used for more quiet activities for relaxation and whatnot. Also, it should be a place where people of all ages could use the park for physical activities in larger areas like, say, the climbing wall or jogging. And the second main theme is one that's been touched on a lot already, is that it should be as green as possible. We would like there to be as little concrete and so on as possible in the park, no concrete if possible. And should have native grasses, plants and trees and so on. And above all, it should be a place for interaction for people around the entire city, and it should be inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So contrary to all the other groups, we thought there should be lots of crime in this. But actually, we are mostly concerned about the safety and the programming of this park, as many groups have said. I think programming is the main key to making it feel safe and welcome. Also about Park and Portland Avenues, we think that there should be calming, and I know it's already been studied, but possibly closing Park and Portland for this park, if not all the times except 7 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 6 Monday to Friday. Fire pit was our biggest main idea. Who doesn't like a fire pit in the summer to fend off the bugs, and who doesn't like a fire pit to stay warm in the winter? It would probably take some supervising, but I think that'd be a very good objective. And as Table 1 said, less hardscape. We think there's going to be enough hardscape on the Viking Stadium and the light rail station that block there, that it should be primarily green landscaping with maybe vertical elements like a rock climbing wall. And again, with the active and passive uses, I think that's going to make it the best park possible. That's great.
Thank you. Good. Thank you all so much. That was really good. And I noticed walking around, there are Post-it notes on the boards around the room, so we'll be picking those up as well. And if anybody, as you leave, want to add something to that, please do. If anyone has taken the survey on paper here tonight, there should be a box up there to put that in. And of course, urge all your friends to take it online as well. These are the things I want to stress as you all leave. Take the survey, encourage others to take it. Check the website for updates and meeting information. The next public meeting, Wednesday, April 8th, we'll have designs then. And if you have any questions, stick around. We'll be here for a while, so feel free. Thank you again all so much. And the website address.